Transformers 1 is the latest film in the long-running Transformers franchise, a fully CGI film that finally puts the focus on the actual Transformers. It's a prequel/reimagining that brings us back to Cybertron. We follow best friends Orion Pax and D16 as they navigate the mundanity of their lives while yearning to be, well, more than meets the eye. But when destiny comes calling, who will answer? Who will rise? And who will fall? Listen guys, when Transformers 1 was first announced, I didn't really expect much from this film. A prequel for a franchise that has been in cinematic decline for pretty much a decade now. But don't get me wrong, I am a really big Transformers fan, but the movies have never really been my favorites. I've more gravitated towards the television series, the animated stuff. However, when the first trailer for Transformers 1 dropped, I have to admit, I was pretty impressed. The film looked gorgeous, vibrant, fun, but never in a million years did I expect this movie to floor me in the way that it did. Transformers 1 may very well be the biggest surprise of 2024 because this movie is a certified hit in every sense of the word. A visually stunning piece of animation that locks you in from the very first frame to the very last. A character piece that leans equally on the chemistry and performances of his actors as it does the breathtaking designs. I walked out of the theater feeling completely satisfied, but also really excited to see where they could go with this franchise moving forward, which is pretty impressive when you look at the fatigue that the Transformers movies have had leading up to this one. A cool aspect of the film is that it is a perfect jumping on point for anyone. It makes Transformers lore easily accessible while also paying respect to it. We cover a lot of the history of this world, handled in a way that makes it very approachable for new audiences, young and old, while also satisfying the long-term fans. There are so many fun Easter eggs and nods to the larger Transformers universe, with respect being paid to many different eras in the franchise's long history. It's interesting because this is the first movie in the Transformers franchise to completely drop the human characters from the plot, yet it probably has the most humanity out of any of the previous films. We trade the unnecessary cringe humor and mindless violence of the Bay movies for a story that revolves around belief, friendship, and destiny. Transformers 1 rests largely on the shoulders of its two leads, Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry, and I have to say, I think both actors completely deliver. Now, don't get me wrong, after hearing Peter Cullen voice Optimus Prime for decades, it may have been jarring for some people to hear that Hemsworth was taking on the role for this particular movie. But what makes that transition easier is the fact that when we are introduced to Hemsworth's Orion Pax, he is young, overeager, and yearning for more. Not yet the pillar of strength that we have always known the character to be. This gives the actor a way in, to make the role his own, and I think he does a good job of doing just that. However, the true showstopper of this movie is Brian Tyree Henry, who gives a masterful performance as D16, a bot that is all about structure and order before a horrific truth takes that security away. His presence absolutely lights up the screen as we watch him go through a crisis of conscience and belief that sends him spiraling. His slow descent is powerful. You can feel the ferocity in his words, the heat of his rage as it boils over. A take on Megatron that makes you sympathetic to his cause while completely understanding what he is destined to eventually become. Scarlett Johansson and Keegan-Michael Key are also great, but they don't have nearly as much to do as both Henry and Hemsworth. Key's Bumblebee is lovable and provides much needed comic relief for a film with a surprisingly large amount of tense moments. While Johansson's Alita 1 is the straight man, the no-nonsense badass who keeps everyone in check and is a character I think is very pivotal to the overall chemistry of that group. Another standout was seeing John Hamm play Sentinel Prime. He's a real scene stealer who really disappears into a character who's quite pivotal to the film. One negative that I have is I wasn't a huge fan of Steve Buscemi's Starscream. Listen, it was an interesting choice for the character, but it was really nothing special. Every other actor seemed to be putting a lot into their characters, and I just didn't feel the same coming from Buscemi. It's a minor critique as the character isn't really heavily involved in the film, but it was something that really felt off to me. While the movie boasts a very impressive cast, I think the real star may very well be the production design and direction. It's evident that a lot of talented artists went into making this film feel visually unique to any of the other Transformers film that came before it, and they succeeded on every level. Cybertron feels like a lived-in world full of detail and character, and and I was finding myself at times just kind of adoring the visuals and scenes, as they are really quite stunning. I'm not one to really advocate for 3D. I find it very gimmicky, and a lot of the times it doesn't make a difference when I'm seeing movies. However, for Transformers 1, my screening was actually in 3D, and I have to say, it did really enhance the viewing experience of the movie. The backgrounds and the textures came alive as epic moments unfolded right in front of me. So if you do have the option and availability to see this in 3D, I highly recommend you do so. Speaking of direction, Josh Cooley continues to impress as he follows an Oscar-winning film in Toy Story 4 with another major accomplishment in Transformers 1, two projects that were random sequels to beloved franchises that somehow find a way to add something new while still honoring what came before. His directorial voice continues to shine through in this movie, and I'm really excited to see what he does next. Overall, Transformers 1 is everything I could have wanted this movie to be and more. A risky move by Paramount that hopefully pays off, because after living in this world, I really don't want to go back to the old style of Transformers films. With that being said, out of 5 Autobot logos, I'm giving Transformers 1 4.5 out of 5 logos. I really enjoyed this movie, and I highly recommend that you guys go see it when it comes out in theaters. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest content. If you want to check out our other reviews, click the link on the page, and until next time, guys, stay versed.